Criminal charges for a Denver police officer accused of shooting into a crowd, and the mayor comes to his defense. It is the Lauren Boebert show in Congress as a small far-right group has blocked the House from doing anything. The Red Cross dodges our questions about why it's not operating shelters for migrants after some county leaders call out the Red Cross for not doing more. We ask Democrats whether they plan to bring back their ideas that cost Coloradans money now that the elections are over. And you so loved the story about a mobile preschool going to underserved neighborhoods, you asked if you could help them expand. Let's do it, because this is next. A Denver police officer is now facing criminal charges. A grand jury says he fired into a crowd in Lodo with no regard for people's safety. That newly indicted officer has a prominent defender, Mayor Michael Hancock. The mayor saying he's surprised the officer's actions were considered a crime. Mayor's words did not go over well with the shooting victims. 6 people were hurt in that early morning shooting in Lodo. Steve Steger just got back from talking with some of them.
Yeah, the 3 we talked to say they've mostly physically recovered, but the trauma of that night is still there. The night that they were out having a good time, then ended up in the hospital. Innocent bystander shot by or hit by police gunfire. The 14-count indictment says that Officer Brandon Ramos, whose body camera we are watching here, knew that there was a crowd of people behind a suspect. Ramos was off to the side while 2 officers confronted that man with the gun. The 2 other officers weren't facing the crowd. They shot at the suspect. They weren't charged by the grand jury. Today, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock defended Ramos in a statement saying, quote, police officers make split-second decisions under difficult circumstances. While the situation remains an unfortunate one and it's regrettable that innocent bystanders were injured, I'm surprised that the grand jury found the officers' actions involved criminal intent. One of the victims, Willis Small IV, who lost part of his foot in that shooting, said calling his injuries regrettable was an understatement.
If, for example, the mayor's son or daughter had been in that crowd and he was behind that gun, would he have taken those shots? Like, you know, if he knew his kid went out on a regular night like that, would he even take the chance to shoot into any crowd, let alone a crowd he knows his kid is in? So regrettable is definitely an understatement. Tosses it up as if it's just some type of mistake that they make on the job rather than potential fatalities of regular civilians.
Officer Ramos charged with 2 counts of second-degree felony assault along with misdemeanors, including reckless endangerment and negligence with a deadly weapon. He was granted a PR bond. Today, the police union called the charges, quote, unfortunate and sad. Kyle.
A police union is promising to fight for this officer. It wasn't really clear-cut whether this officer was going to face criminal charges, so if this goes to trial, it could be really interesting.
Everyone we talked to today, all 3 of those victims said they were incredibly surprised that this officer is facing charges. They didn't expect accountability in this case. They were happy that they are starting to at least see some. Kyle.
Steve, thank you. Speaking of police accountability, Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office just released a 72-page report, outside report done by Doug Coe Sheriff, outlining the mistakes that led to the shooting death of Christian Glass back in June. The report says that former Deputy Andrew Bune, now fired, failed to use any of Clear Creek County's de-escalation tactics, not one. When Bune decided to try to get Glass out of the car using force, despite the fact that Glass had done nothing wrong that night, the report decided that the officer was not following policy. It concluded that, quote, 4 reasonable officers with direct vantage points of the events leading to Deputy Bune using lethal force against Mr. Glass, having heard the same statements made by Mr. Glass, chose not to fire their handguns. For this reason, the report continues, Deputy Bune using deadly force against Mr. Glass was not consistent with that of a reasonable officer. Colorado Republicans have virtually no power at the statewide level, but 2 Colorado Republicans in Congress could be playing key roles in denying Kevin McCarthy the Speaker's gavel. Here's how that's going.
No persons having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a Speaker has not been elected. 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 A Speaker has not been elected.
You'll note the clerk changed clothes because this has played out over 2 days now, 6 rounds of voting, and the House and adjourns until later tonight. They actually came back a couple minutes ago. So they're not allowed to do anything else until they pick a speaker. That's how this thing works. And California Republican Kevin McCarthy is opposed by a far-right group of 20 Republicans, and Democrats just kind of get to sit back and watch them fight. Colorado Republican Lauren Boebert and Republican Ken Buck are really at the center of this, though in slightly different places. Boebert, fresh off her narrow re-election and her promise to take down the temperature in Washington, she's now leading this hardline group demanding concessions. They want McCarthy out. She even told her political mentor, former President Trump, today that he's wrong to back McCarthy.
Even having my favorite president call us and tell us we need to knock this off, I think it actually needs to be reversed. The president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that, sir, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw.
Colorado's Ken Buck is supporting McCarthy for now, but his patience with this goat rodeo is running out.
I've had a number of conversations with Kevin and just basically told him that at some point this needs to break loose. He either needs to make a deal that bring the 19 or 20 over, or he needs to step aside and give somebody else a chance to do that. I don't know what that time frame is, but it makes sense that at some point today we are able to move forward in a way that we elect a speaker.
That was Buck speaking on CNN today. It looked for a second then he was going to go buck wild because he missed the roll call for vote number 6. But Buck eventually showed up and he voted for McCarthy again. House just came back for more potential votes tonight a couple minutes ago. If anything new comes out of Dysfunction Junction, we'll let you know. New York City's mayor is lighting up Colorado's Democratic Governor Jared Polis again over the issue of migrants. Mayor Eric Adams is now comparing Polis to the Republican governors who transported migrants from their states to Democratic strongholds, trying to make a political point. What Colorado says it's doing is allowing migrants who have come here and want to go to, say, New York City or Chicago to go on to those final destinations.
At one time, we had to deal with Republican governors sending migrants to New York. Now we're dealing with Democratic governors sending migrants to New York. This is just unfair.
Mayor Adams' story on this has been shifting. Yesterday, Adams said that Polis had warned New York City that more migrants than usual were coming. The backlog was due to travel delays from the winter storm. Now today, Mayor Adams is saying that Colorado did not provide any warning. Still waiting to hear back from the governor on Mayor Adams' latest criticism. Larimer County's leaders say they can't do any more to help Denver and Colorado shelter the influx of migrants because the county says it's not getting any more help from the Red Cross and Salvation Army. Larimer County says it helped 60 migrants with shelter during the extreme cold last month. The city says it can't afford to do that again. We got a hold of a letter that county commissioners sent to the governor saying that they cannot shelter more migrants in Larimer County, but they could send staff to help in Denver. The Salvation Army pushed back strongly on what Larimer County commissioners were saying. This claim that the Salvation Army has a national directive limiting their help for migrants. Salvation Army says that's not accurate. They have been helping in Denver and in northern Colorado, and that the county just asked for specific help that the Salvation Army couldn't provide due to staffing. Here's what Larimer County's emergency manager told us today about the Red Cross.
The American Red Cross, they did help us for the emergency sheltering piece once it was because of the weather. But before that, their national headquarters had a directive saying that they couldn't get involved in the migrant effort.
Is that true? Well, Red Cross of Colorado and Wyoming has been giving us the runaround on this. They would not directly answer our questions about whether there's a national Red Cross directive that they can't operate shelters for migrants the way that they do, say, during a natural disaster. The local Red Cross would only say that they're working as a supporting organization and not operating any shelters for migrants. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is actually a longtime request of Next viewers who saw this nonprofit featured in a story and said, we want to do more than just watch, we want to help. So let's help expand UBU Early Learning. It's that preschool with a unique mobile model. The nonprofit Teacher Co-op is a mobile preschool. Converted vehicles that drive to where the kids are, where families who are low income might have trouble getting kids to and from a traditional preschool. So UBU Early Learning comes to them to include more families, more kids, and the benefits of preschool. So the nonprofit wants to buy another vehicle to convert into a mobile preschool to serve a new neighborhood full of students. There's teachers ready to do this. The nonprofit works with the Aurora Housing Authority to find the best spots, and the Housing Authority told me They would love to have another one of these early learning mobile preschools, and they know of plenty of neighborhoods that would benefit from it. So nonprofits trying to raise $40,000 to purchase and convert another vehicle. I'm in if you're in for this. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. Your $10 million worth of microgiving proves that small donations add up fast. So as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5. UBU's mobile preschools are reaching kids who otherwise would miss out on preschool. They're ready to expand if they can get some of our help. Democrats delayed their own gas fee during the election. We ask if they're going to bring it back, while they're simultaneously talking about keeping this state affordable. A beloved cafe, a community gathering place, says goodbye for now.
I kind of get a little attached to the place, but, have to move on.
They're being pushed out to make room for something else the city needs. Housing. That's next. Colorado Democrats pulled some funny business ahead of the election. We talked about this quite a bit here, how they delayed the gas fee hike they just passed so that people wouldn't be paying it before Election Day. And Democrats claimed credit for the taxpayer Bill of Rights refunds that some of them had previously tried to kill. Our politics guy, Marshall Zellinger, is asking Democratic leaders if Coloradans should be holding onto their wallets now that Democrats have won.
A gas fee created by Democrats in 2021 was delayed in 2022 to not burden residents. That gas fee is now supposed to start in April, 2 cents per gallon. And then it's supposed to go up again just a few months later in July to 3 cents per gallon. So will Democrats delay that now that they've won their elections?
I anticipate that conversation is coming. Do I think we need to implement those fees? Yes.
New Democratic State House Speaker Julie McCluskey defended the need for that money because it will go to fund transportation.
I truly believe that Coloradans are also committed to seeing roads and bridges in the type of shape they need to be for us to move through this state.
Other fees, like the 27-cent delivery fee and the additional ride share fees, were never delayed and will continue. Those are supposed to fund programs to provide incentives for electric vehicles, better the state's air pollution, and reduce health disparities in disproportionately impacted communities.
These fees are for very specific, dedicated purposes. These are not sources of revenue that are just going to the government's bottom line.
Democrats in charge at the state capitol, like State Senate Majority Leader Dominic Moreno, are focused on affordability. This week, Democratic Governor Jared Polis announced that he wants to set aside $200 million in state money to provide property tax relief. It's estimated that when property tax bills start arriving in the mail this spring, they could increase 25%. Last year, state lawmakers tweaked the property tax equation to make our property tax increases not as high as they might be otherwise. But when that happens, cities, counties, school districts, libraries, parks, local government services miss out on the money that was expected. Last year, the state set aside $700 million to cover the money property owners were being saved.
If we are going to provide property tax relief, we do need to make those local government entities whole because the services that they provide are extremely important in our local communities.
Aside from fees, Speaker McCluskey told me affordability is broader, addressing health care costs to lower medical bills for everyone, or funding affordable housing, not just the nickel and diming stuff that I was asking about.
Yeah. What's stopping Colorado Democrats from doing anything they want?
Nothing, but each other. I didn't get to ask, and I ran out of time. I want to ask about the infighting, because there will be factions of the Democratic Party that might disagree. You'll still have enough Democratic votes to get something through if some Democrats don't agree, but each other is the answer to that.
Thanks, Marshall.
Well, a calm, mild couple of days ahead. We're at 16 degrees right now, pretty chilly out there at DIA, where it feels like just 1 degree with winds coming in from the south-southeast at around 16 miles per hour. But as you take a look at our HD Doppler radar, not a whole lot happening over the state as we're going to be very clear and quiet tonight. We're going to see those clear skies, overnight lows near 15 degrees, so pretty chilly. And as we go through the day tomorrow, we will see that cloud cover increase to mostly cloudy skies. Winds stay calm. Temperatures seasonal, right around where we should be this time of year in the middle 40s. And then as we go over the next couple of days, we're going to watch for some very light snow showers possible on Friday, hit or miss around Denver, but other portions of the Front Range and even Eastern Plains could see some of that snow. And then we dry out and warm up as we go into the weekend and the first part of next week.
You hate to see a small restaurant go. Yet Denver also needs the housing that will go up in its place.
Denver's changing a lot, and it's not all bad, it's not all good.
Complicated farewell, a much-loved place to eat. Next. Greetings, citizens of Denver. You may have noticed it snowed days ago, and the side streets have not been plowed. They're messy, icy, bumpy, and rutted, and they're going to stay that way because you are SOL. SOL, the City of Denver's innovative snow clearing program. SOL harnesses the natural and free power of the sun to melt away the snow instead of plowing. Sure, that might take weeks, and yes, shady streets could be icy for months. Drivers will just have to deal with it. Pedestrians and cyclists are completely SOL. SOL, because why should the city clear the streets when the sun will eventually do it? Citizens of Denver, together, we are all SOL. I mean, SOL. Tomorrow's the last day for the City Cafe on Lincoln near downtown. Developers bought that property to put in housing, 18 stories of apartments. So customers are coming by to say goodbye. The cafe's owner tells us he'll eventually look for a new place for the City Cafe.
Denver's changing a lot, and it's not all bad, it's not all good.
Ooh, well, this looks good. Of course it's good. Ooh.
We are at City Bakery and just really enjoying the food and kind of experiencing the last of this place since it closes tomorrow, unfortunately. Thank you.
I think I'm going to miss that it's a family-run local establishment.
It's good food, but it's also good people.
I do know that they are tearing down this building.
Oh yeah, I kind of get a little attached to the place, you know, but have to move on.
Because nothing is going to stop the growth of Denver. Yeah. Nothing.
More broader than just this place. I grew up in Denver, and so I've seen a lot of change in the last 30, 35 years. A lot of great development and growth, which is good for the economy, but also a lot of things that are sad.
I'm disappointed that this will be replaced by a large apartment complex.
Definitely, we need more affordable housing. I don't see the good. I don't see the good in this place going away. I think the thing to think about is that these places need the support, and so when you think about what does my $10 sandwich do, it goes a really long way.
So there's no point in wishful thinking about it. So I said I just wish this place finds a new home.
Oh, sure.
Because Denver will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Probably. It's inevitable.
Let's help a mobile preschool on a bus. Add another one of those rolling classrooms to serve more kids. That and your feedback next. There's a nonprofit preschool in Aurora that rolls into underserved neighborhoods, opens its doors, and the kids climb aboard to learn. The preschool's on a bus. And UBU Early Learning is raising money to add another classroom in a vehicle to serve new neighborhoods. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me in donating to this week's Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. Their partners at the Aurora Housing Authority adore them and would love to have another neighborhood where more kids can experience the learning and growth that comes with preschool. They hope to raise $40,000. I think we're going to do that for them. A thought on clearing city streets and our own responsibility, as Abby writes, shovel your dang sidewalks already. It's true, we can't shade the city if we're not clearing our own sidewalks. See you next time.